Gluten-free, crunchy salmon pie. Welcome to Believe It's Not Gluten, the home of amazing recipes for the gluten intolerant. Amazing because they taste so good no one will know they're gluten-free. This is a delicious, creamy salmon pie with a crunchy, cheesy pastry base and a crunchy topping. So starting with the base, I have just gluten-free flour here with xanthan gum, paprika and a pinch of salt. And I've had that in the fridge to get it really cold. Recipes on the blog. That just had a quick whisk to get it sifted. And then 100 grams of cold butter and 1.5 cups of grated cheese. Or here it's 3.5 cups of grated cheese. If you're in a small processor like this, you'll have to shake it around to get it mixed because it's pretty full. But if you're in a bigger processor, it should be fine. You just get it to the texture of fine breadcrumb. Then grease your 20 centimetre springform pan. That was just coconut oil, but it's so hot here today that it was just liquid. Then just tip about 3/4 of a cup of the pastry mix into a cup. And we set this aside for the topping, and the rest goes into the bottom of the pan. And then it's just pressing it in and levelling it down. I usually have a bit coming up the sides of the pan, but the recipe says to put it all on the bottom, so do whatever you like there. Just get right into the corners. You don't want really thick pastry at the corners. So it takes a little while, just gradually squash it around. It will still seem crumbly, but that's fine. And then it goes into the fridge while you get everything else ready. So 1 onion, peeled and finely chopped or grated. You can do this in the food processor. Just chop it roughly and pop it in. You don't have to wash your processor, just the one you used before for the pastry. And just process that until you get it to the texture of very finely chopped onion. Then some dill, finely chopped fresh dill. The recipe says 1 teaspoon, but I find that's not enough to be able to taste it. So just a generous amount according to your taste. Then you need to measure the juice of your tin of salmon. So give it a good drain. And then measure a small 1/4 cup of the juice, or about 2.5 tablespoons. And put that back in the tin to use later. You do need some juice, otherwise the pie's drier and nowhere near as tasty. Then 3 eggs into a large bowl and give them a bit of a whisk. You probably could get away without whisking them if you added the salmon here, gave it a good stir, and then added the rest of the ingredients after that. So 3 eggs. Then in with your dill and the onion, 1/2 cup of grated cheese, 200 grams of sour cream, the salmon with that little bit of juice, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, and the recipe says a few drops of Tabasco sauce. We didn't have any today, so I just added a little cayenne pepper. Then just check there's no bones in the salmon. And mix it all together. It does take a little while to get it smooth. Just keep stirring until you've got it pretty smooth. Then pour it into the pastry base. And sprinkle on the pastry crumbs that we set aside before. Then it goes into a hot oven. It does take a while to cook. Over an hour it takes in a hot oven. And testing when it's cooked is the most important thing because it's really not nice if it's still soft in the middle. And you can't tell just by pressing with your finger. The best way to check is with the tip of a sharp knife. So you can see here that the middle is still wet, definitely not cooked. So it needs to go back into the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes. So here it is now, the knife comes out dry. Just remember to turn your oven down if you need to put it back in for longer than the 70 minutes that it took at first. This one's very dark around the edges, that's because I forgot to turn the oven down for that last bit of cooking. But it will still taste fine, it just looks better if you don't do that. Then if you want to eat it hot, leave it for 10 to 15 minutes to settle, then you can remove it from the tin and serve it. Otherwise serve it warm or cold, or refrigerate it until you want to eat it, or wrap it and freeze it for later. Hope you enjoy it. Please visit the blog for the full recipe and tips so that you can make this successfully yourself. If you like it, please subscribe to our channel below and give us a thumbs up. Please share our videos as much as you can, and thank you for watching, and believe it, it's not gluten.